Hey guys, how's it going today? Welcome, Mr. Smith's Kitchen, Brian Kitchen, as always. And today I thought we'd do some canning. I know it's not dinner, it's not dessert. And every once in a while, you know, I get a chance to do a canning video. Most of the stuff we can, though, I've already shot, with the exception of some meat stuff. But this is a new recipe for me that we're going to do today. We'd already done pickles, still had a few left over from this round. And green peppers are starting to come in, and I had a bunch. I made some salsa with some of them, but I still had a bunch left over, and more coming on the vine. And I ran across this recipe for a green pepper and cucumber relish. I thought, oh, that sounds good. It sounds refreshing. So I want to give it a try, and I thought we'd make up a small batch of it. It's only going to make like 6 pints, so that, or not pints. Oh yeah, I think the recipe makes up to 6 pints. We're going to put it in jelly jars, so that means we will need 12 of them, which is fine, not a big deal. And we'll give it a try, you know, when we're done with it. And it's not a horribly involved process. There is a lot of chopping to do, though, a lot of dicing in this, but it wasn't that bad. I've already got everything diced up for us, so it shouldn't take that long to do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That helps grow the neighborhood, you know, helps grow our channel, and it is our channel. It's not just mine. I just represent us, and I hope I do a good job. If you are new to the channel, welcome. I hope you get something out of this canning video. Check out some of the other videos. We do a lot of stuff around here, really. If you're returning or a new subscriber, thank you. And that's, you know, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. That means you really, you know, at least enjoy some part of what I do. Yeah, so let's get down to the counter and we'll get started putting this together. Like I said, it's not hard, but it does take a little bit of time, but not a horrible amount of time. So anyhow, let's get down to the counter and we'll get this party started. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, we're down here at the counter. Now, the first step is really easy, and that is dice up the following. 4 pounds of green peppers. All right, so that's 4 pounds already diced up green peppers. I've got 4.5 cups of diced up onions, and I've got 1 pound of diced cucumber. And like I said, I had some extra cucumber laying around. I had a bunch of bell peppers that came off the vine that I hadn't used yet, and I thought, what am I going to do with them? Normally we do a green pepper relish, and we still will. I've got a ton of peppers out on the vine. They're out on the plants, and then I've got an overstock of onions because I kept buying onions thinking we were out. So here we are. Now you'll notice there is some red in there, and that's because I had 1 red bell pepper. We're growing 4 different colors this year. We've got golden, yellow, and which is essentially orange, yellow, red, and green. And there's our start of them. So first thing we need to do is we've got our 4 pounds of diced bell pepper in there. I'm going to throw my onions in with it. Alright, just like that. My 4.5 cups of onions. Yeah, and now I'm telling you, it's okay. So the peppers, 4 pounds, was the equivalent of about 16 bell peppers, medium to large size bell peppers. 4.5 cups of onion was three large onion. And then my cucumbers, these were giant cucumbers. I mean, it took 2 of them. They were about that big around and about yay long. And then I had a little one that was more of a ball than it was a cucumber. But it was still good on the inside. Just not good for making pickles. We made so many pickles on this first go around. And then we planted more cucumbers. So we'll see if we can get more out of that. But we're going to put those together. And then I'm going to use my hands to kind of give it a good mix. I know you're thinking you could have used a bigger, you know what, I can't use a bigger bowl. I forgot, I have a bigger bowl thanks to my friend Kristen. Hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, I got my bigger bowl. I'm gonna give this a quick mix, and then what we're gonna do is we are going to take 2 tablespoons of salt. We're gonna sprinkle this over the top of it. Mix it up again. And then I'm gonna wipe my hands off. I have a cheesecloth and a not a strainer, but a looks like a strainer, but it's not. And we're gonna put this in here, but you can use a strainer at any rate. God, my brain is just not working at the moment. It's been a busy day. I've been working on the patio today, did some maintenance in the garden, went to the hardware store, picked up some lumber, and today was Abby's first day at school. Sarah got a new job, and I had to take her to her new job this morning. It's just a few blocks from the house, but it's still exciting. She got a new job. She's working for the hospital, and she's been going through orientation all week. All right, so we got that in there like that. And what we're gonna do is cover this up. I know you're thinking, Brian, what are we doing now? Trust me on this. I'll explain what we're doing here in a second. So we've got that all done up. We'll give that a good twist. And we're gonna leave it in this strainer, that's what it's called. And we're just gonna set it down in the bowl. What we're doing is so the salt we put in there, let me bring you up so we can talk. The reason why we put salt in there is it gets the juices flowing in the vegetables. It helps to release all the waters that are in the green peppers and the onions. It's kind of like when we cook, you know, and we're sauteing something and we throw a little salt on it, you know, it brings out the juices in the onions or the celery or whatever it is we're cooking, the vegetable we're cooking. Same principle here. It's just going to take a little longer because we're not going to cook it. So we're going to let this sit for an hour. In the process, all that liquid is going to come out. So when I come back, we can move on to combining more ingredients and getting the process going. But let's just let this sit for an hour, and then we'll move on. All right, I'll see you here in a second. Okay, so we've let our vegetables, our green peppers, onions, and cucumbers sit in the cheesecloth for an hour. Let's go down to the counter here, and we'll talk about what we're going into next. We're on the tail end of things as far as getting it made goes. Scooch you in here just a little bit. Now, what you'll want to do once your hour's up is I knotted the cheesecloth real tight at the top here, and I just simply squeezed to get as much of that excess juice out of there as I can. In the recipe, it said to use 2 separate cheesecloths and split the load. Well, I don't have 2 cheesecloths, so that wasn't happening. But you want to get as much moisture as you can out of there, and I'll show you the end result. I mean, just after an hour. So, and we've done this before when Chris makes relish, just standard pickle relish, things like that, and pepper relish. You do the same thing. Only with those, you don't even put it in cheesecloth. You just let it sit, and then you dump the moisture out or the liquid out. But there's our liquid right there. You can see it or not. And I mean, it's a fair amount. It's, you know, almost quarter full of the liquid. So we got our liquid out of there, which was our sole purpose. Get a little more out of there and feel it dripping off. All right, we got that. Now we're just gonna take our veggies, our relish mix, and throw it in there in our pot. And I've got a pretty good sized pot. You want at least, I'm gonna say a 6 to 8 quart pot, and you want it to be, you know, fairly heavy bottom, so that way it cooks evenly and it doesn't burn anything on the bottom. So to this pot, I'm going to add 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. Now the reason for the vinegar is because the vegetables we're putting in here, the peppers, the green peppers, the cucumber, and the onion, none of them are acidic. And when you can, you need acidity. Acidity is your friend, because we're not pressure canning these. Now if you're pressure canning, there's a whole lot of leeway to that. But because there's no acidity and we're water bathing this, we need acidity. So we're putting apple cider vinegar in there. And to that, we are going to put 2 tablespoons of mustard seed, which is right here. Sorry, right here. And which you can buy at any grocery store. We're going to follow that up with a tablespoon of celery seed. Right there. Also buy that at any grocery store. You may even have it on hand. I know we do by the bundle, but we also do a lot of canning of pickles and relishes. And then I've got half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper, which is optional. Now, if you make relish, or there's other things that you like in a relish, you can put it in here as long as it's a dried spice. Dried spices are inert. They don't do anything but add flavor. They won't affect the pH level of what it is you're canning. So we could add 100 different dried spices to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up to a boil, and then a simmer. And I need to get a spoon. We'll bring this up to a boil, and once it gets to a boil, we'll go ahead and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. So that way our, all our vegetables will start to go a little translucent and soften up. When that happens, like I said, it takes about 10 minutes. Then we can just go ahead and can it up. So when I come back, we'll take a look at it and start canning. All right, see you here in a second. Okay, so we've been simmering for 10 minutes. Our vegetables are nice and soft now and looking good like relish. Now, one thing I did forget to tell you to put in there is our vegetables, and you can't get a real good shot of them. But to that, along with the spices, you wanted to add 2 cups of sugar. I just happened to be cleaning up and found it behind it. So you're going to add the mustard, the celery seed, the crushed red pepper or bird seed, depending on how old you are and where you're from, and 2 cups of sugar, along with the apple cider vinegar. Bring it up to a boil, then let it simmer for 10 minutes. I had the lid on it, that way we could keep it, get it going. Now, to do our canning. Let me move you down here just a hair so you can see a little more what I'm doing. So, to can, I'm using ball jars. I'm recycling them. We've had these probably about 6-7 years, and they're just the little jelly jars. And I washed them, I rinsed them, and then I have them sitting in hot water. You don't have to sterilize them unless they're brand new. Then you may want to. As far as the jars go, or as far as the lids go, which these are the lids if you're new, right there. Ball says you don't have to keep them in hot water anymore as long as you're going to process them longer than 10 minutes. Now we are processing them longer than 10 minutes. They're going to water bath for 20. So all I need to do now is put this, I've got hot jars. You want to make sure they're hot. I got them sitting in hot water. That water is about 140 degrees. I've got my hot relish right here. It's off, and all we have to do now is I've got my funnel, that way we don't make a mess, is I'm going to pour this in here, and we're going to fill it up to a 1/2 inch a head space. So we're going to fill it up a 1/2 inch from the top. And if you get a little too much in there, like that one's probably got a little too much in there, I'll just simply take a spoon, remove some of it out, and put it in the next jar. So what you're looking for with headspace is, like I said, a 1/2 inch. And they make tools, man, that's a little warm. They make tools for it, but it's from the top of this down should be a 1/2 inch. How I check mine, I mean, I kind of know already, just because I've been doing this long enough, but there it is. They make a fancy tool for it, and forever I had a chopstick running around here that was marked, but I have a measuring ruler right here, and I just take it and look. And in this case, a 1/2 inch is right about there on that seal. About look on the twist, and once you get to where it's about 1/2 even space, it's that. So, but check it until you get used to finding out. So once we get that there, because that's a 1/2 inch, get my spoon out of this one, I'll just continue to put this in here until I get all my jars filled. Okay, we got our jars full. We're at a 1/2 inch. Now, one thing you can do, you should do, is as soon as I find one, I'll show you. I'm just going to take a stick. All right, because there is a plastic tool you can make that they make that you can use also, but you don't ever want to use like a metal knife. I feel obligated to tell you that, even though I have several times in the past. And we're just going to debubble it. We're going to make sure there's no air in there, and it more than likely is not, because it's, you know, because of what it is, but you never know. And you want to make sure you get any air out of it. The reason for that is it can cause it to bubble over in the pot and do what's called siphoning. And you don't want it to siphon, because then all your liquid bubbles out, and that can be a bad thing. A little bit of siphoning will always happen, almost always happen. Not always, but most of the time. And what that does is it if your water gets too low, or your liquid gets too low, in this case it's not water, gets more than halfway, chances are your product's not going to be very good. It can grow bacteria that way, too much open space. So we want to make sure we don't have any air bubbles in there, and it's okay to be lower than that 1/2 inch of headspace, but you don't want to be above it. Next thing we're going to do, I got some vinegar, some plain white vinegar in this little cup right here. I'm going to wipe down all my tops, and that's to get the stickiness off of it, if there is any, right? We don't want any stickiness on there. This has got to be a good clean surface. Man, those bad boys are hot. So we'll get these wiped off right quick, and it's just a quick wipe off. You know, I didn't make that big of a mess. But the goal is to get them as, you know, close to even as possible without going over, so to speak. All right, so we'll go ahead and get our lids put on. I'll show you how to do a couple of these, and I'll do up the rest, just so you don't want to sit here and watch me do all 12. But you'll want to place your lid center on, just like such. And then you're going to take your ring, make sure your ring is clean. You don't want anything in here that can get caught between the lid and the ring. And we're going to put that on there. And when you put it on, you don't want to crank it on, finger tight, which means you're going to take these fingers and turn it till it stops, and you're done. You don't want to palm it, and because if you get it too tight, it won't allow the air to escape that's in there to make a proper seal, and then once again you'll get siphoning. So you just want to put them on like such. Okay, we got our lids on. Now all we got to do is we're going to head outside to the water bath canister, and that way we can talk about water bathing them real quick and how long to do it for, although I already said it, and things we need to do. Alright, see you here in just a second outside. Okay, we're out here in the garage, and I got the water bath canner heating up. I don't have it bubbling yet, and you should have it, you know, at least starting to bubble when you go to put these in here. It's not absolutely necessary, but it does save a lot of time. And what we're going to do is we're going to put, our jars in here. Now let me get you here. I'll bring you over here so that way you can kind of see what's going on. I'll have to do this all one-handed. But what we're going to do, see how we've got the water in there? So I'm going to take my jars. This is interesting, doing it one-handed. And we're going to I'm going to use my tongs to put them in with. It's the same tongs we're going to take them out with. And that way I can Because if that water's bubbling, it will burn you putting these in, because see how the water is rising, and we want that to do that. You'll also notice in there that I've got a, at least I think you can see it, yeah, a metal plate underneath there, even though, I mean, this is just a standard pot, basically. You want something in between the bottom of that pot and your in your jars. That way, as they boil, because when it boils, the jars are going to move, and you don't want to take the chance of them breaking on you as they're moving around. That gives a separation on them. Sorry if I'm moving you around. But that being said, what we're going to do is, we're going to put those in there, and we want to make sure that there is a half inch or an inch, at least an inch of water on top of those, covering those, right? Because if we don't, it could boil down below that, and then we have jars breaking, we have temperatures not hitting where they're supposed to. It doesn't get a true water bath. So let me get these in here real quick, and then we'll talk about what to do, how long to cook these or boil these for, and what to do afterwards. Okay, so I've got those in there. I've got an inch, the water an inch above it. Now, what we're gonna do is, once that starts boiling, starts bubbling real good, and I'm gonna put the lid on it. You don't ever wanna try to heat a pot without the lid on it, so to speak. So remember what I did with the lid. There it is right there. Haha. So we'll put the lid on it. Oop, it's starting to bubble. Once I hear it start to boil, all right, once it starts bubbling good, I mean it has to bubble good, I'll turn the heat down a little bit, and then we will rock that out for about, well, not for about, but for 20 minutes. I will set a timer for 20 minutes. We have to let it roll like that for 20 minutes. Once that 20 minutes is up, we will then turn the heat off and just let it sit there for 10 minutes. No longer. If you let it sit there for longer than 10 minutes, yeah, I mean, now I'm not talking 11 minutes, you're in trouble, but you want to try to get them out in 10 minutes, because if you don't, you can actually build up a bacteria inside your food that will cause it to spoil. So, when I come back, we will have water bath these for 20 minutes, let it sit in there for 10 minutes, and it'll be time to take them out. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 second. Okay, so we let this boil for 20 minutes. It has sat here with the lid on it for 10 minutes, and now I'm going to quickly remove the lid away from me. Always want to pull away from you. That way the steam goes out that way and not into your face. You can get burnt. So what we're going to do is, we're just simply going to get them out of the water. Just like such, and when you take them out, you want to lift them straight up. And you're going to have some water on the top. Don't sweat that. Yeah, that we're not worried about. Let me get a good grip on that, because it will come off of there. And then I got a rack sitting right down here, one of our baking racks, sitting right down there, and I'm just going to put them on there. And what that's going to do is we're just going to let them cool, right? So we want to let these cool for, you know, overnight. Yeah, 12 hours is kind of the common rule of thumb. Now, I have gone less than 12 hours. Normally, after about 6-7 hours, they've sealed. They've, you know, cooled down enough that they can be handled. But 12 hours is best practice. So what you're going to listen for, and I should have showed you this before I put it in. I'm not going to touch one now. But we are looking for, you're going to hear a ting. It'll go ping, and that's it. It'll be sealing the center of these ball lids, which I'll show you when we come back to try one, if we don't hear one now. But see how that one wasn't exactly full, and there it went, and it everything floated to the top, and that's okay. It'll settle, you know, hands down, and that's okay. It just means that we didn't have that many vegetables in it. Doesn't hurt anything. Just means we got less product. That'll probably be the one I put in the fridge, so we can try. But I still have to let it get down to room temperature first. So I'll get these out of here. I'm gonna let them sit here for, probably till morning. But one of them I'll put it in the fridge before we go to bed. That way, in the morning, we can try one. So when I come back, these will be cooled. They'll be sitting in the other. There's another thing. They'll be ready to be dated and put away, and we'll try some. All right, I'll see you here in just a second. Okay, so we let the relish sit for 12 hours. And here, I'll bring you a camera. Well, actually, I have a can right here, a jar right here. So this one's has been refrigerated. This one we're going to open. So what I'll do next, now that I've let those sit overnight, is right here on the top, in their case, it's got a spot for the date and an area to write down what it is. If you're only making one kind of relish, you can look at the jar and see. Now, we make like 3 or 4 different kinds of relish, so that depending on what we're eating. So I'll write down on here green pepper, cucumber. I'll probably write GP, cucumber, relish, and then I'll put the date. And then I'm going to store this down in the basement where our grocery store is, and that way it is in a controlled environment. It doesn't really vary much from 68 degrees down there, and it's in a dark room. There's only one window, and where my jars sit don't get a whole lot of light. It's also where I store potatoes and onions. And then that way, it'll be good for its maximum life, which, according to Ball, their lids are guaranteed for 1.5 years when they seal. Well, they're not guaranteed, but they'll say they'll go 1.5 years. But I've had stuff last a couple years. Depending on what you're doing, it can last anywhere from 1.5 years to 3 to 4 years. So, anyhow, that being said, let's, my dog Sam just came in. Let's go ahead and open this up. If you want to check your, to make sure they're sealed, because I didn't just mention this, you should be able to hold it by that lid. See how it's not coming apart? If it drops, keep your hand under it, but if it drops, the lid comes off, it didn't properly seal. It's still good, just put it in your fridge, and you'll have to eat it immediately. All 12 of our jars sealed. So I'll just simply use the old school can opener here, or bottle opener, I should say, and not try to open the jar, but the lid. Hear that? Hear how it pop? That means it was sealed also. With the lid, remember how I said you'd hear it pop? That's the thing you're looking for if you didn't hear it earlier in the video. So I just got some crackers, and I'm gonna try it on some crackers. Now this relish, according to the recipe and the site I got it off of, this guy puts it on everything. Hot dogs, hamburgers, cereal. Just kidding, not cereal. But hot dogs, hamburgers, brats, things of that nature. Anything you would put relish on, you could put it in a macaroni salad or egg salad or potato salad or things of that nature. So we'll go ahead, got a cracker out here. We're all the way back, so can't really do a whole lot with the whole, I'm just gonna put it on this cracker. I grabbed a spoon, and I always, when I do relish on something, I always take it and hold it for a second out of the liquid to get the liquid to drain off of it. That way we don't have sogginess. But there is our relish at its finest, maybe, if I can get it to focus. Focus. Well, at any rate. It's refreshing. You can't taste the apple cider vinegar at all. Sometimes with relishes and the recipes, they're vinegar heavy enough that you can taste the vinegar in them. This one, you can't so much. And it's not horribly sweet. It's really very refreshing. That cucumber it does a number. That's really, they weren't wrong. This could hands down be my favorite relish. And even though we put the peppers in it, the crushed red pepper, you can't really, it's not hot. Not by any means. It's not horribly sweet. You can taste the cucumber, you can taste the green pepper. It's not overbearing on any account. Yeah, that is a smooth operator. You need to give this recipe a try if you're into canning, or if you're new to canning. This would be an amazing first recipe, hands down. And if you do, let me know. Leave me a comment down below, or jump over to Facebook on Mr. Smith's Kitchen. You can find me on Instagram too. Shoot me a message there. Let me know if you try it. Let me know if you've got a cool relish recipe that you guys use. And also, if there's ever a recipe that you want me to show on my channel, maybe it's one you have or something like that, and you want to get it out there for the masses, let me know. Leave me a comment, message me on Messenger. And I would be more than happy and honored to put your recipe out here for the world to see. I don't ever claim a recipe as my own unless it is. I always try to tell everybody where I got it from, whether it be like on the video or right here somewhere or down in the description. It's always known, recipes were meant to be shared, and you should always tell everybody where you got it from. Even if it's like, well, this is my great-great-grandmother or great-grandmother's recipe, then tell people that, although I'm sure she probably at one time or another got it from someplace else. But anyhow, that being said, let me know down in the comments if you give this a try or you have one of your own. And yeah, I think that's it. So until we meet up again for dinner and dessert, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and you love them very much. If you use this recipe at your next gathering, I guarantee they'll know that there's something special because you took the time to make it and that you love them all very much. So, till next time, I love you. Talk to you then. All right? Bye.